Hello, 500 class. It's Brittany, teacher. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. I'm here today to talk to you about Junior Reading Expert lesson. We are going to do pages 60 to 67 together. I'm going to read with you the passage on page 60 and answer the comprehension questions on 61. Then you will answer questions on page 62 and 63 alone. Debbie teacher will send you the answer key so that you can check your answers and see if you are correct. Then I will also do the same thing. We will read together page 64 and 65. I will answer the comprehension questions with you, and you should do the questions on page 66 and 67 by yourself. For now, let's go ahead and read. I'm going to read page 60. I want you to listen very carefully to my pronunciation, and I want you to copy me. If you hear a word that is difficult for you to pronounce by yourself, you can pause the video, practice pronouncing the word as many times as you would like, and then play the video again when you think that you've got it. All right, let's start. This is Unit 14, People. Before reading, you can think about who is your favorite baseball player. If you have an opportunity to make things better and you don't, you are wasting your time on this earth. These are the words of Roberto Clemente, the first Hispanic baseball player to become a star in the major leagues. He was born in Puerto Rico and joined the major leagues in 1955. At first, he had a hard time because he didn't speak English well, but eventually he became one of the sport's best players, winning the World Series twice. He was also named the league's MVP in 1966. However, Clemente is even better remembered for caring about others. He helped poor people and fought to change some bad ideas about Hispanics and African Americans. When a terrible earthquake hit Nicaragua in 1972, Clemente decided to go there himself and help. But sadly, his plane, which was carrying the aid packages, crashed into the ocean. He was only 37 and his body was never found. After his death, Clemente was added to the Baseball Hall of Fame. In Puerto Rico, a sports camp for children was created in his honor. And every year, the major leaguer who does the most to help others is given the Roberto Clemente Award. Clemente was truly someone who blank. Okay, so based on what we just read, we're going to answer some comprehension questions. But before we do, let's think about the story we just read. Let's think about the most important things that we should remember. Okay, so we read about a baseball player named Roberto Clemente. I remember that he was a Hispanic baseball player who didn't speak English well, but he still was a very important player and won the World Series. The other thing that's important to remember is that he wanted to help others. Even though he played baseball, that's not the only thing he did that was very important. He wanted to go to Nicaragua to help people who were in an earthquake, but he didn't get the chance because his plane crashed, which is very sad. And now people in Puerto Rico give awards to baseball players who help others because of this man, Roberto. So let's answer some questions together. Oh, and by the way, what I just did was I summarized the passage based on what I remembered. This is a very helpful technique for when you want to hold as much information about a story as possible before you answer comprehension questions. It can help you really decide if you understand the story or not, okay? So you should be able to answer 5 basic questions: who, what, where, when, why, how. So who is the story about? Where is this person from, or where was the person when the story was written? Why are we reading about them, or why are they important? Why are they special? What did they do in the story? How were they successful or not successful? And when did the most important events of the story happen? If you can think about these things and remember them and hold them in your head before you answer comprehension questions, it's very helpful. Okay, so let's answer question number 1 on page 61. Asks, what is the best title for the passage? We have 4 choices. 1, more than just a baseball player. 2, a great effort behind a star player. 3, historic moments in American baseball. Or 4, the life of Hispanic baseball players in America. So when I don't know the question or the answer right away to the question I'm being asked, it's helpful to eliminate any answers that I know are wrong right away. So I want to think one more time about what I just read and try to eliminate questions or answers that don't make any sense, okay? So I think right away, answer 3 is probably not right. Historic moments in American baseball. The reason why is because we're not learning about the subject of American baseball in total. We're learning about one baseball player, but we're not learning about the entire sport, and we're not learning about the history of baseball. We're learning about one player, right? So for that reason, I'm also going to say that number 4 is probably not right either, because it says the life of Hispanic baseball players in America, players more than one, but we only read about one person. So I don't think number 4 is right either. That leaves me with choice 1 or choice 2. More than just a baseball player, or a great effort behind a star player. I think both of these would make sense, but I'm going to choose answer A, because I know that they're talking, what they want me to understand about this player is that he did more than just play baseball. He helped others. So for number 1, I'm going to say the answer is A. Okay, for number 2. Why did Clemente have a hard time when he joined the major leagues? So this is a fill-in-the-blank question, and when we have a fill-in-the-blank question, what we want to do is we want to look for key words from the question and match them to the keywords from the story. The keywords, Clemente, hard time. Okay, so I'm going to read my story one more time, and I'm going to look for either his name or a hard time, because that's the question I want to answer. Why did he have a hard time? Okay, let's look. Right away, I can see at first he had a hard time, and now the answer, the linking word because, gives me my answer. This is the answer. He didn't speak English well. Oh, okay. So all I have to say here for number 2 is he didn't speak English well. Okay? So those are our answers so far. Let's check number 3. Which word best describes the 3rd paragraph? Okay, so before we answer this question, the best thing to do is read our choices and then read the 3rd paragraph one more time and see what we think is the best idea. Okay, number 1, hopeful. Number 2, tragic. Number 3, pleasant. And number 4, adventurous. Now, here's the important thing to remember. You don't have to know what all of these words mean. If you're taking a test and you see these 4 choices, maybe you only know what 1 or 2 of them means, but you can use your process of elimination, the same way we did for question 1, to take away words that you know don't make any sense, okay? So before we answer a question, let's check paragraph 3 one more time. All right, we look for the invitation. Paragraph 1, 2, 3. He helped poor people and fought to change some bad ideas about Hispanics and African Americans. When a terrible earthquake hit Nicaragua in 1972, Clemente decided to go there himself and help. But sadly, his plane, which was carrying the aid packages, crashed into the ocean. He was only 37 and his body was never found. Okay, so that's kind of a sad story, right? We have someone who wants to help others, and he was on his way to try and help people recover from a natural disaster, and he died. He died very young. He died before he got a chance to carry out his mission. So that's a very sad feeling, right? Let's go back to our choices. Number 1, hopeful. Number 2, tragic. Number 3, pleasant. Or number 4, adventurous. Now, maybe I don't know what all of these words mean, but I know what some of them mean. I can tell right away that choice number 3, pleasant, which means nice or happy, is probably not the right answer because we're talking about something sad. We're talking about a situation where someone has died. That's also why number 1 is probably not a good idea, probably not a good choice, because hopeful is when you have hope, when you're excited about the future, but this person died, so it's not a hopeful situation, okay? So that leaves tragic or adventurous, and it's true that maybe getting on a plane to save people from an earthquake sounds adventurous, but because he didn't finish his mission, he didn't go on an adventure. It's not an adventurous situation, which leaves us with answer 2, tragic. Tragic means, obviously, tragic means that he was going to do something good and he didn't get to, which is incredibly sad. Tragic is a very, very sad situation. So for this one, we have to say question 3, the answer is option 2. And for number 1, the option is number 1. Okay. All right, let's check number 4. What is not mentioned as something people did after Clementine died? Now, this is kind of an easy question to answer if you remember that we are looking for something that did not happen. So the way you answer this question is to treat it like a checklist. We have to look at our options for question 4 and try to check off all of the things that did happen in the story. Then that means anything that is left over did not happen, and that is our choice. That is our answer. So let's check. Option 1, put him in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Number 2, built a Puerto Rican sports camp for kids. Number 3, continued helping people after the earthquake in Nicaragua. Number 4, created an award named after him. Okay, so now let's check the last paragraph. The reason I know that we need to use the last paragraph is because after his death, what is not mentioned as something that people did after Clemente died, we need to check for everything that happened after his death. So that's why we're going to look at this paragraph, after his death. Clemente was added to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Oh, okay. So that's option 1. That did happen. So that means that we cannot choose option 1 because it actually happened. Next, in Puerto Rico, a sports camp for children was created in his honor. Oh, that's option 2. It did happen, so we can't choose option 1 or option 2. And every year, the major leaguer who does the most to help others is given the Roberto Clemente Award. That is option 4. Created an award named after him. So because options 1, 2, and 4 are all in this paragraph, we know that our choice for answer for question number 4 is option 3. Okay? Let's continue. Number 5. What is the best choice for the blank? A. So before we answer this question, we should probably read one more time that sentence and then see what our options are and think about the best answer. So let's try one more time. It says, and every year the major leaguer who does the most to help others is given the Roberto Clemente Award. Clemente was truly someone who, blank. Someone who did what? Let's think. Our options are, number 1, made the world a better place. 2, showed that dreaming is important. 3, loved baseball more than anyone else. 4, saved many people's lives in Latin America. Okay, again, the best thing for us to do in this situation is to eliminate the ones that don't make sense. We know that number 4 is not true. Why? Because he died before he got the chance to help people. He didn't save any lives in Latin America. He wanted to help others in Latin America, but he didn't actually get the chance to do that. Number 2, showed that dreaming is important. I'm going to say no, because there was no mention of him talking about his dreams in this reading passage. He may have been someone who had a lot of important dreams, but it didn't talk about that here. We didn't see the keyword dreams anywhere in this passage, so we know that number 2 is not correct. And number 3, I'm going to say is not correct because we don't know that he loved baseball more than other baseball players. It doesn't say anything about that. We just know that he wanted to try and help other people and play baseball. So I think the best option is option 1, made the world a better place. So for number 5, we're going to say that the answer is 1. Goodness. Okay. Number 6, what is not mentioned about Clemente in the passage. Again, when we have questions that say the word not, we need to treat it like a checklist, okay? We need to look and see which options are in the passage, and anything that is not is our answer, okay? What is not mentioned about Clemente in the passage? Number 1, where he was born. Number 2, how he helped people. Number 3, how he died. Or number 4, why he became a baseball player. This is why it's so important to try and remember the 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, why. Because, well, the 6, including how. Because all of these options begin with WH questions. Where, how, why. If you know the information, the answers to these before you even begin reading answering the questions, it means that you can answer the questions quickly and easily. So, number 1, where he was born. I can see right away the keyword born. He was born in Puerto Rico. Okay, great. So that means that option 1 is mentioned, so we don't want to choose option 1. Number 2, how he helped people. We know how he helped people. We know he helped people because he wanted to go there himself and help, which is he wanted to go to Nicaragua and help people who were hurt in the earthquake. How he died, we know how he died because it tells us, sadly, his plane, which was carrying the aid packages, crashed into the ocean. His body was never found. Which leads option 4, why he became a baseball player. We know he played baseball, we know he liked baseball, we know he was good at baseball, but it doesn't say why he began playing baseball in the first place. Okay? So for that one, for number 6, we need to say that the answer is 4. Okay? So here are your answers for page 61. I'm going to let you answer the questions on page 62 and 63 on your own. Use the answer key that Debbie Teacher is going to send you. And then you can continue on to the next video when you're ready. and we will do pages 64 and 65 together. I'll see you in a minute. Bye.